hija de chingada, peligrosa, malcriada, bruja, puta, criminada. When these words are spit at me, I feel no remorse. I'm freed from the power of their slander by a Caribbean moon who calls me to her side. When she is ripe and full and rises over the concrete and metal that contain me, I pass beyond the boundaries established for the residents here. I step outside of my skin. I'm swept back to sandy white beaches. I climb the mountainside up beyond the waterfalls at El Yunque. I see my abuelo roasting a pig in the rainforest, singing old Taino songs, calling me for dinner. Instead of sitting with him, I'm swept back to a line I wake up to wait on. I've seen some faces melt away on the line that's supposed to last one's lifetime. I've checked my own final scene. When I get to be first, the screw locks the gate and says, "Sorry, Goya Bean, we just ran out." That's when I rub the gray out of my eyes to stare at peeling gray paint, revealing another shade of gray underneath. Housed beside a gray river, I watch factories releasing clouds of smoke that disperse so evenly I can't tell if what looks back at me is the New York skyline, the cell wall, or my own skin turned to gray. To be lined in gray gives morning a different meaning, at least until I resemble what the other residents in here mistake me for, the names they've built this place to contain. I've heard the moon's calling, inviting me to shed this illusion and join her. As for skin, I've seen through this mask stretched over the real me, a feeble attempt to prevent the moon's rays from entering my bloodstream. As for standing up and getting counted, it's the official priority one activity, counting the bodies of the residents, keeping count and counting that no resident gets out. A routine that keeps those who are paid to account for these bodies busy round the clock. Count never sleeps. That's how important count is. If count gets slowed down, the whole schedule could get loused up. If the whole schedule gets loused up, hey, that's what the boots are for. The clubs, the rifles and the tear gas, the hazardous duty stipend. That's what the people counting us get paid for, and who among us was taught to criticize how someone feeds their family? Cabrona, hold up. Let me see that program card. Trying to hide something from me, mi querida? Picture that. You in the wrong place. Got me a riot? Ready to throw down and die, bitch? Or what? It's not the voice of a screw, only a resident named Youngblood intimidating a particular screw, Bobo Delgado. Youngblood providing a necessary warning because Delgado is impossible to please. The only way to avoid punishment is to be en route to a place he can't do anything about it. Where's that? It says where, on one's program card, but you got to have it ready or Bobo will put you on ice. Youngblood is clearly looking to improve her social skills. One can't blame her for trying to make her time work. On the street, Youngblood couldn't pass a store that displayed clothes she liked without smashing in the front window and grabbing all she could. She's a real impulse shopper who knows she must show the board some degree of self-control. I know Youngblood's whole life story. All night long she narrates it to me because we're porters together on the graveyard shift with miles of hallways to clean. Just the two of us and one sleeping screw. I've counted the strokes the mop makes until the mop itself takes over, running through my hands with the effortlessness of what it must be like to swim to the moon in Caribbean waters. When the mop first hits the floor, spilling pneumonia, suds, and water, the broken tiles awaken to their nightlife. At first, I didn't realize that it's the moon's drunken light that the mop spreads over the black linoleum. Although the liquid soon goes gray, those first few bucketfuls are pure magic, where the water lifts those soap suds into the sky, all their own. My heart cries out, San Juan, Ponce, Mayagüez. The nightlife of my own island is revealed. The music, the dancing, and the singing of my people. When the tiles first revealed this other world, I heard the moon call my name. I put the mop down, returned to my unit, and cried until my real life erupted from all the lies that I had told myself in order to keep my shame contained. The moon had not said any of the other unfortunate slang I am known by in here. She whispered my own name, the one never pronounced in Gringolandia, the one no immigrant ever forgets, the one that brings back the faces of my mother and father weeping in the barbed-wired gate. In the morning, Bobo Delgado came for me. I knew that leaving a mop unattended would be construed as an outburst of disobedience requiring more care, custody, and control. When I stood in front of the 3 gray officials, I told them that my own name was whispered to me by a moon whose power was released in the chemistry of pneumonia, soapstick, and hallway tile. The 3 grays promised to go light on me if I would confess the name I heard. When I said nothing, they proclaimed what they'd agreed upon before I got there. My condition, despite my obvious depravity, was not sufficient grounds for a program change. Since I refused to go back to that midnight mop whose soapy strands revealed the moon's hidden light, Bobo escorted me to the icebox. A 6 by 8 by 10-foot cell. Not that normal housing is much bigger, but one can walk back and forth, listen to stories about the fast life or the old neighborhood. There's a ball around, a weight room, a gym, video games. One could film one's own confession, play it back, get it straight, letter perfect. The box, by contrast, is just 4 walls. A month can really jerk a gal's wreck, as we say, knock her upside her head. Still, I would take the box, overhearing the moon call out my name. I wanted no mops, no hallways, and no more lunar light. I'd been taught the moon was a cold nothing, a big, lifeless rock in space that merely reflected the sun. So it couldn't find me in solitary. For 27 days, I moved around that cell in supreme confidence. But on the evening of the 28th, from that cell's little barred window, I saw the moon rise so pure in her whiteness that the window's gray borders began to glow. When her circumference touched all 4 sides, her light, like some chemical spilled in a catastrophe, ate the window and walls and finally the floor. When the whole room was incandescent, the moon's mysterious beams entered me like an injection racing right to my heart. Every pulse of my blood pushed her luminosity outwards. In that river of light, my fear dissolved into a state of pleasure that was beyond description. Then the angels in the moon glow whispered my real name, and the last trace of the error I'd been living died, so so that I could be born in her. The familiar sounds of the residents returned. Late night gears cranking out the dreams of the sleeping residents. The very contrast to the life the moon had been preparing me for all along, for I had been imbued. Let back into population, I thought that perhaps the midnight moon, looking in through the leaks in the roof, seeing the futility that encapsulates each of us, might call others to partake in her cures. I sang the little prayer she had taught me, and the suds foamed like clouds on the dark tile. As I mopped it clean, the floor opened like a sky to the moon's call. Moonbeams carried me up into her creamy whiteness. I heard a hallway of music inside this light, and a conguero's cry led me to the dancers. Months ago, I would have been afraid. Now, I know there is a whole other life within this life, and I am sure others know this too, because I hear them singing in the moon's light. I wait online looking closely for her and others, those who have stepped out of their skin and into her luminous mystery, those who've shaken off the gray of this residence that hounds us like an untrue name, an alias we must live behind in order to ascend into her glory. Why the moon is Caribbean, why the moon is Caribbean, and the accent of her voice Puerto Rican, I can't say. But when she rises over soapy water and broken tiles, I hear my real name, Maria Boricua, called out across the sky. I meet my destiny as the daughter of my people, and I am hers at last.